Freedom, according to me, is a choice to act or speak without any hindrance or restraints or any control of anybody.
Which means they should be able to express themselves in like everywhere without being judged by other people.
Not necessarily be judged, but be prevented from doing that.
Without somebody coming in and trying to control what they do.
I didn't feel free back in Turkey. That's why I came to America, but I still don't feel free.
So we are probably the most free country out there, I'm sure, but everyone seems to try to find a way to snatch away somebody else's freedom. And I can never quite understand that.
We are judged a lot.
In this world, as of now, I feel you have to think twice before saying anything. That's not freedom.
The funny thing is that we are judged from people that we don't know.
You do have freedom of speech. The only problem is that it's a very blurry line about what you're allowed to say.
I don't think the question is, does it exist? It's, should you say what you want to say in your head? So democracy is subjective based on the time you live in, I think.
I think that modern democracy doesn't work because the power of people with more money or less money have to influence other people. And unless we find a way to take the money out of it, I don't think that democracy will ever perfectly work because there will always be control by outside sources. Everybody who starts looking deeper into our democracy realizes that yes, the people have control of it, but the control is not evenly distributed across all people. The wealthiest 1 to 5% probably control 50% of the total outcome of our politics.
You know, we live in a time where I think people are a little more aware of what can happen when you give up democracy.
It's never a good idea to give control, to give all the power to one single man.
Every person is capable of doing wrong. So if you give that sort of power to anybody, any entity, they'll take advantage of it.
I guess like democracy is just a title.
I have this dream that is never going to come true, that people actually rule themselves. They're so developed and improved that they're able to rule themselves. They're able to set their own rules as a community. So for me, government should be people.
You have chosen a leader. Now you expect him to work for you, as in design certain policies or certain ideas for the benefit of the people, for us. And we choose you to rule it. We expect you to work it for our benefits. But he doesn't. He just instead forces his ideas on you. Then it doesn't work that way.
I think government should only do the bare minimum. You know, the necessities. You know, make sure that our roads are clean. Make sure that we have police. Make sure that we have schools. Make sure that our schools aren't too overpriced to where no one can get in.
I'm in favor of governments not intervening very much in allowing people to freely enter and exit the country, but I also take safety really seriously, so I'm in favor of smart but free government.
Oh yeah, and fear is also another issue. Fear.
Anyone who uses terror, uses fear, uses pain to get what they want, as opposed to being a cordial individual who can talk, a person who can convince others of their point. If you need to use force, then you're a terrorist.
The other thing that I believe about terrorism is that people that we call terrorists here may not be terrorists elsewhere, and every different country chooses to call different people terrorists. Even other countries that were at war with the United States would call us terrorists when, you know, allegedly we wouldn't. But I think a terrorist can be anybody given the right set of eyes looking at them. So it's a very blurry, hard to define thing.
You can't even tell right now who you're fighting.
When I talk to some people who go overseas to fight, it's never clear cut who's good and who's bad.
then doing that they think they're doing the right thing, but it's a wrong way to express and dictate.
The only way to truly fight terrorism is by the united forces of good people. Religion is people placing rules on what they think God wants in their own efforts to control people.
Religion is the most powerful tool to manipulate people, to control the masses, because it forbids you to question everything, because these are all God's words.
And I find it kind of upsetting that it propagates, even though all the religions say, love thy neighbor or accept one another, still everybody who's Catholic doesn't want to mix with people who worship Islam, and everybody is separate.
They really want to live in unity, but then they are forced to, like, by the society. Okay, you belong to a certain tradition, or you belong to a certain religion, and you have to do this thing. So it's like
They don't even know what they're talking about, talking about nationalism or that certain religion. When you get that fanatic about what you believe,
Like I see people that they are so into it, they're so devoted that they forget that the world is here. Like,
I think the sad part is that people have lost sight of what the true meaning was.
If you believe in a religion, I think it should just be accepted. It shouldn't be anybody else's problem but your own, and if it helps you, then it helps you and it's fine. But the moment that religion turns into one person being better than another, or I'm gonna go to heaven and you're gonna go to hell, then I think that it's damaging. And if we're made in God's image, then we should respect each other.
one of our senators, he literally said that headscarf is like a curtain of a house. If a woman doesn't have one, that means she's either for sale or for rent. This is just outrageous. Nobody should have the right to talk to me that way, or all of these women around us.
In my country, people try to define God like human. They always say that it's not human, it's some greater power, but then they say, God says like women should wear hijab or like. And also in Christianity, I think they say Lord, which is also Father, again, man. So they're basically making God with a gender, like they're thinking that God is a man.
I had this weird theory that all the gods are the same.
I believe that I'm too ignorant to understand what it is, and I'm in no rush to figure out what or who God is, but I can rest happy knowing that I haven't insulted any other god or insulted any other religion. I have the same amount of respect for all of them, and hopefully if there is a God, they accept me. If they don't, I tried.
Gender equality is a big mission that we should achieve.
it's getting better and better now. But when it comes to transgenders, they don't have rights much. They are sidelined a lot.
Often I see this things that they say, imagine if it was like your mom or sister. No, don't imagine it's your mom or sister. Imagine it's a human being.
Considering like sexual issues of women, I think US and Europe is more developed than Middle East countries.
Women are allowed to do a lot more things, but still there's pay gaps in some industries. There's a lot of sexual things going on.
As a guy, there are many things that I can do that people won't look down on me upon. But I've seen women do those exact same things, and they get judged differently for them.
People objectify women a lot there. And I think it's a cultural thing, I guess. Like, we're so used to see women as a part, for example, like a commercial, she's like always a part, something to toast, or she's like a prop inside a commercial. And
even if we may have our slight differences, it doesn't mean that you have to dismiss an entire group of people just because you don't understand them.
Here I started liking Turkey. It's like African Americans call me white, right? And then they try to do racism on me. And then Caucasians tell me I'm from Turkey, and from their eyes I'm not white. So it's like, I don't know where I am here, basically.
I can see a black woman and see something beautiful in her, and I can see a white woman and see something beautiful in her. I don't see why it has to be a thing of, oh, this trait makes you beautiful, this trait makes you ugly. I never understood that.
in Brazil, we have a lot of expressions, and once I stopped to analyze them, I was like, this is terrible. This is like so racist. Like, there's one I'm going to try to translate. There's one called, tomorrow's a white day. White day means that you're going to work. So, but also work. So I'm like, this is terrible. Don't say that.
If you have it in your heart to treat somebody different because of their skin tone, you gotta do some real soul searching, because I don't think it's racism that's your problem. I think you're just a dark-hearted individual.
You have to go out, take a step back, and just to embrace that diversity around you. I think that's the best way to fight. Art is the best form to reflect that and to change it, to educate people.
I think artist movement, and for most people, is part of their lifestyle.
Essentially, that piece of us that wants to connect with other people, because we're social. We are social beings.
Right now, there's a difference between being an artist and being an entertainer. And I think the purpose should be to point out what's wrong.
Through my art and with my stories, I want to tell people how politics and government is trying to control how people think and how everything works, and that freedom is actually not there because of the government and politics and presidencies.
I would like to express to people that they can live freely, that they shouldn't have so much to worry about. It's always going to be that way in this world. It's only going to get worse as our lives become more and more social, and technology allows us to be connected to everybody all the time. Everybody's going to look like they have it perfect because they're representing themselves as, I have the nicest shoes, the nicest bag, the nicest coat, the sweetest husband, the cutest girlfriend. But those are just little bits of their life, and if you spend all your time judging other people and looking at them, then you're spending none of your time enjoying what you have.
As right now, I just want to express how people interact with their environment. I think it's like important to go outside like the island and look at yourself, like how you're behaving, and put yourself in other people's shoes. So this is sort of like a subject that I like to approach, is like putting different perspectives on the screen.
I want to be the reason why somebody decided to pick up a pen and draw, pick up a camera and film. It's one of the greatest gifts you could give somebody, inspiration.
World peace, it's human race being extinct.
I think world peace would be achieved when there are no borders and there are no nations.
People are forced to believe or act or speak for their own country. All of us should recognize each other as just humans. That's what I believe in, and that's what I believe world peace should be.
People are far too sadistic, people are far too conniving, people are far too hateful for anything, for any scope of peace to be found on a large scale, let alone the entire world.
They're so into like being right all the time.
We're still just gonna box ourselves off, and we're gonna have countries like North Korea that are like, nobody comes in, nobody goes out, we like what we're about, we're just gonna stay here, and if anybody comes through, we'll kill them or nuke them or something. So I think world peace is pretty far off the horizon.
I think the world is gonna end with a nuclear bomb.
I think that it'll take some real. I think aliens have to come out of the sky. I think aliens have to come out of the sky and say, "Yo, we're gonna fuck all of you up if y'all don't band together and kill us." I think that's what's gonna have to happen because, again, I think people are too selfish to put aside their old rivalries.
I mean, whatever happened was happened in the history. Leave all this. Just consider that we are just humans everywhere, same. Why do you want to differentiate?
We don't need giant borders to keep each other out of places, and we don't need to spend 7 times more money on weapons than we do on the annual budget for education. Like, we can start making people smarter and happier and giving them better living circumstances.
Continue to do good, and those who do good should shine their light onto others. That way, at least the negativity will be the minority.